Have you ever felt erased from your family photo before the shutter even snapped? The question hits like thunder, echoing through the silent chambers of our most vulnerable memories. It speaks to that primal ache, the moment you realize that the people sworn to love and protect you have already decided you don't belong. It's the hollow pause before a smile, the split second when you become painfully aware of your own absence in what should be your most cherished circle. Picture it, the photographer's finger poised above the button, the warm flash reflecting in every smiling face, except yours. In that breathless instant, you're no one's daughter or son, you're simply a shadow, a ghost at your own holiday table. And as you grit your teeth to keep from crying out, something in your chest tightens, the fear that your worth could vanish in a single moment of judgment. This opening question doesn't just set the stage for Erin's story, it invites each of us to confront our own invisible scars. Every viewer is compelled to lean in, recalling the times they swallowed their hurt to maintain the facade of harmony. The times they whispered, "I understand," when they wanted to scream, "I belong too." That phone call from her mother cuts through the morning calm like a surgeon's scalpel. One moment, Erin is surrounded by the familiar hum of her kitchen, the gentle drip of the faucet, the muted glow of autumn light through the window. The next, her mother's voice steps in, crisp, distant, a carefully measured chill. Erin's hand tightens around the silk scarf she chose with trembling care, a delicate weave of alpaca fibers meant to convey warmth and gratitude. But now her mechanic's mitts, streaked with oil from another 12-hour shift, look almost sacrilegious against the luxurious fabric. The gift, once a symbol of love, feels like a testament to their divide. In that icy moment, every detail stands out. The glossy packaging creased under her grip, the metallic scent of engine grease clinging to her fingers, the thin line between daughterly devotion and the social ladder her mother demands. It's more than a gift. It's the battleground where two worlds collide, one of humble strength, the other of poised perfection. When the call finally ends, the hallway feels impossibly dense, like the air itself has been chilled and weighty. Erin stands motionless, her breath a quiet fog curling in the stillness. In this charged silence, she can almost hear each snowflake landing on the porch, a soft crystalline patter that echoes through the emptiness. Every sound is magnified, the distant hum of a passing car, the gentle creak of floorboards beneath her boots, until time seems to stretch and the world shrinks down to the cold pulse of her own heartbeat. Viewers should feel that same freeze in their bones, caught between the warmth of expectation and the stark chill of rejection. Erin doesn't shed a single tear. Instead, a low hum of determination rises in her veins, sharper than any sob. She closes her eyes and feels the echo of her mother's words, a verdict delivered like final judgment. But in that silence, something else takes root. A promise, fierce and unyielding, forms in the hollow where hurt would have been. She will never again plead for a seat at any table that demands her dignity as collateral. She pictures every Thanksgiving dinner she has silently endured the laughter she forced into her voice, the jokes she swallowed, the pride she tamped down beneath a layer of grease and flannel. Each memory fuels a silent oath, never again. Erin straightens her shoulders, imagining building not one, but her own banquet table, sturdy oak that no one can rock, chairs she carves herself, place settings that honor her worth rather than pity her. In that moment, the hallway feels less like a prison and more like a threshold. She steps forward, each footfall a quiet declaration. From now on, she will earn her place with her own two hands, with every bolt she tightens and every dollar she invests. No longer will she allow acceptance to be a gift handed down from others. She will claim it as her birthright, forged in sweat, steel, and self-respect. Dawn breaks, but there is no warmth in the air, only the hollow echo of an empty house. The rich aroma of roast turkey is nowhere to be found. The familiar roar of football on the TV is conspicuously absent. Instead, Erin stands alone at the stove, the pan sizzling as she cracks 2 eggs into it, the sound sharp against the silence. Steam spirals up, carrying the faint, lonely scent of butter, but even that seems muted. Each flip of an egg is a solitary ritual, a reminder that this Thanksgiving morning isn't marked by crowded tables or boisterous conversations. It is defined by solitude. The camera lingers on her poised spatula, on the steam curling against the kitchen tiles, on the empty chairs gathering dust. In this tableau of abandonment, the audience feels the ache of isolation seated in every frame. Erin pushes the empty plate aside and grabs her worn toolbox, its surface scratched and stained from years of hard work. She steps out into the crisp morning air and drives to Mrs. Halpern's house, the retired school teacher who once cared for neighborhood children and now lives alone since her husband passed away. The familiar weight of the toolbox on her shoulder feels grounding, a far cry from the hollow ache of the holiday she's missing. At Mrs. Halpern's garage, Erin kneels in the gravel and examines the jammed opener. Her fingers dance over the motor housing, spotting a frayed wire and a loose gear. With precise movements born of thousands of hours under hoods and chassis, she reconnects the wire, tightens the screw, and brushes away a web of dust. A low whir fills the air as the door shutters, then lifts smoothly. Miss Halpern's eyes light up with gratitude, and Erin feels something stir in her chest, a reminder that competence itself can be a quiet form of comfort. Next, she stacks firewood by the back door. Each split log is carried with deliberate care, a steady rhythm that echoes in the stillness. Then she installs fresh batteries in the old smoke detector, testing the buzzer until it chirps confidently. Mrs. Halpern watches from the kitchen doorway, wrapped in a shawl, her smile soft and unassuming. When Erin finally hands her a steaming mug of coffee, the warmth spreads through both their hands, an intimate exchange, more nourishing than any family feast. Through every nut tightened, every log stacked, and every chirp tested, Erin transforms her own loneliness into service. In that simple labor, she finds solace, and in Mrs. Halpern's embrace of gratitude, she discovers that being rejected by some can become the impetus to give more deeply to others. After the smoke detector's reassuring beep, Erin rises to her feet, just as Mrs. Halpern steps forward with a small foil-wrapped slice of pumpkin pie. There's no fanfare, just the soft shuffle of slippers and a gentle hand extending the gift. "Here," Mrs. Halpern says, voice warm as a hearth, "so you don't forget what home can taste like." Erin pauses, caught off guard by the simplicity of the moment. Her grease-stained fingers brush the foil. The faint aroma of cinnamon and brown sugar drifts up, weaving through the crisp air. It's the first true comfort she's felt all day, a quiet reminder that kindness can thaw even the iciest of mornings. As she lifts the pie, the world seems to shift. The loneliness tugs at the edges of her heart, but gratitude lights a spark in her chest. In that gentle exchange, the narrative's frost begins to crack, letting in the golden glow of genuine human connection. Driving back down the familiar street, Erin's headlights sweep across the facade of her parents' home, windows aglow with warm golden light that spills onto freshly fallen snow. Through the glass, laughter drifts out in soft, joyous ripples, the high pitch of her sister's giggle, the low rumble of her father's chuckle. For a moment, Erin's foot hovers on the brake. Her heart clenches at the sight of the family tableau she used to inhabit. She grips the steering wheel tighter, knuckles whitening as reality settles in. The line between belonging and exile is thinner than she ever imagined. Just one wall, one dinner invitation, one whispered verdict in her mother's voice separated her from that warmth. And yet here she is, an outsider by blood, a stranger by decree. In that silent car, viewers feel both her pain and her power, the ache of being shut out, coupled with the fierce determination that this will be her last season of standing alone. As Erin pulls away, the glow of her old home recedes in the rearview mirror, replaced by the crisp promise of roads unexplored and tables yet to be built. 5 days later, Erin's quiet morning ritual is interrupted by a flood of headlights sweeping across her driveway. The engine noise cuts through the stillness as her mother's car rolls to a stop. In the glow of the lamps, Erin sees 3 figures. Step out, her mother clutching a tin of cranberry muffins like a fragile peace offering, her father's coat buttoned too stiffly, and Lily, arms crossed, eyes wary. The driveway, once the stage for solitary reflection, now feels claustrophobic. The muffins, sweet domestic, wrapped in holiday paper, seem almost absurd in Erin's grease-smeared world, as if a simple baked good could mend the gash opened 5 days ago. As the family approaches, their silhouettes flicker in the cold light, casting long shadows that stretch toward Erin's front door. She pauses mid-stride, toolbox in hand, stunned by the surreal reversal. The same people who barred her entry now stand at her threshold, hoping to bridge the divide with confectionery crumbs. Lily steps forward, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "You knew him," she blurts. "Evan, my Harvard boyfriend. He learned everything at your shop." The words hit Erin like a hammer blow. In an instant, the roles reverse. The sister who once shielded Erin from judgment now realizes the very person she idolizes owes her success to the loser they exiled. Erin's heart races as she processes the revelation. Every memory of late nights showing Evan how to rebuild an engine, of patiently explaining complex wiring diagrams, flashes through her mind. The audience's pulse spikes alongside hers. The underdog becomes the mentor, the scorned daughter now holding the key to Lily's perfect image. In that split second, the power dynamic fractures so sharply that the driveway feels electric. Before Erin can even open her mouth, her mother's voice cuts through the stunned silence like a cracked whip. "He also told us about your investments," she blurts out, eyes darting between Erin and Lily. "A 7-figure portfolio, built in secret without so much as a hint to any of us." Time seems to slow as Erin processes the admission. Her mind scrolls back through years of disciplined frugality, skipping new work boots to funnel extra savings into index funds, waking before dawn to read finance blogs, methodically tracking dividends. Each memory lands like a hammer strike, forging her identity far from the grease and grime her family fixated on. Across the driveway, her parents' expressions flicker between awe and guilt. Her father's jaw clenches as he remembers dismissing her career choice, asking once, "Is that safe for a girl?" and ignoring her certifications when she earned them. Lily's eyes brim with shame and admiration, tears catching the floodlights. The audience witnesses a profound moral reversal. The same family who labeled Erin low class for her hands-on work now stands speechless before her financial mastery, a mastery they would have once paraded to claim status. It's a searing hypocrisy, one that cuts deeper than any insult. In the crisp winter light, the driveway transforms into an altar of truth. The muffins in Erin's mother's hand tremble. The steam from Erin's still warm coffee mug curls upward, and each breath seems to draw the chasm between them into stark relief. No longer merely a mechanic, Erin stands revealed as a strategist, an architect of her own destiny, proof that dignity and wealth can be built with calloused hands. Before Erin can collect her thoughts, her mother clears her throat and offers a shaky apology. "We're sorry, Erin. We never meant to hurt you." She extends the tin of cranberry muffins again, but this time the gesture feels transactional. "We want to make things right," her mother continues, voice catching on the last word. "Evan and I have been talking. We'd like you to invest in his new auto parts startup. Your expertise, your capital, together we can build something amazing." The driveway air crackles with tension. Erin's gaze drops to the muffins, their cheerful red berries glinting in the headlights. What was meant as sweet reconciliation now tastes bitter, a conditional olive branch that demands payment of loyalty in exchange for belonging. The audience's outrage simmers. The same family who once shut her out now frames her worth as a business asset. Erin inhales slowly, every second stretching like taffy as her mind races through memories of sacrifice, betrayal, and hard-won independence. Viewers are left on the edge of their seats. Will she accept their offer and reclaim a place at the table on their terms? Or will she stand her ground and forge a new path entirely? Lily steps forward with a rehearsed confidence, her heels clicking against the driveway's gravel like a metronome, setting a fevered pace. Behind her, Evan hovers, arms folded, eyes hopeful yet calculating. Lily unfolds a sleek tablet and taps the screen. Instantly, a crisp slide deck appears, bathed in the glare of her parents' SUV headlights and underscored by a heartbeat thudding musical cue. "Dad, Mom, Erin," Lily begins, voice clear and unwavering, "our auto parts startup is poised to disrupt the industry. We have proprietary distribution channels, a lean team, and a market hungry for aftermarket solutions." She swipes left, revealing projected revenue charts spiking sharply upward. "What we need now is your technical expertise, Erin, your reputation for precision work, and your investment capital to scale operations." Every word lands like a bullet. This isn't a family reconciliation. It's a boardroom pitch. The music swells as Lily clicks to the next slide, a glowing mock-up of product branding featuring Erin's name in bold underscoring how deeply they intend to tie her identity to their venture. The audience feels the urgency. The unspoken pressure suggests hesitation and risk being cast back into the shadows you just clawed your way out of. In an instant, memories flash like snapshots in a flickering projection. Lily glides down the grand marble steps in her white stretch limo ivory silk gown shimmering under prom lights, her crown of perfect curls catching every approving gasp. Camera pans to Erin, crouched beneath a rusted chassis in a dimly lit garage, flashlight clamped between her teeth as she wrestles a stubborn brake caliper into place. The contrast is stark. One sister celebrated under crystal chandeliers, the other forging strength in oil-stained overalls. Where Lily's world revolved around applause and polished facades, Erin's universe was built on grit and silent persistence. Each recollection fuels the audience's outrage, how a life of substance was dismissed in favor of hollow glamour. Erin inhales sharply, the weight of their proposal pressing on her shoulders like a vice. She lifts her gaze, meeting Lily's confident eyes with steely calm. Her voice cuts through the tense air, precise as a saw's edge. "This isn't pride, it's survival." The words land with brutal clarity. In that moment, the family driveway transforms into a crossroads. One path leads back into the orbit of conditional acceptance, the other stretches forward towards self-determination. That single line becomes a yellow stripe painted down the center of a highway, clear, unambiguous. No room for negotiation. Erin's stance is unwavering as she tucks the toolbox under one arm. The halo of SUV headlights frames her silhouette like an exclamation point. Viewers feel the gravity of her boundary. She will no longer mortgage her dignity for a seat at their table. Erin doesn't glance back. She slides her toolbox onto the concrete floor and positions herself beneath the garage door's sensor beam. With deliberate slowness, she pulls the chain, each metallic link releasing with a soft clank that reverberates through the rafters. The door begins its descent, a heavyweight curtain sealing her off from the world outside. As the final slat slides into place, the golden shaft of driveway light is snuffed, plunging the interior into a deep, comforting gloom. The click of the latch echoes like a judge's gavel, marking the end of negotiations and the start of something new. Outside, the wind whips through barren branches, a hollow whisper that reminds Erin of the cold she's left behind. Inside, the faint hum of her tools and the faint scent of motor oil are welcoming reminders of her domain, her sanctuary built from grease, grit, and unwavering will. In that pregnant silence, viewers feel the full weight of her choice. She has traded the brittle glow of conditional warmth for the steady pulse of self-reliance. The abrupt shift from the heated confrontation in the driveway to the calm darkness of her own space creates a powerful contrast that lingers. It's a moment suspended in time, where the chill of rejection meets the warm promise of freedom, leaving the audience poised on the edge of what comes next. A week later, a cautious knock echoes through Erin's house. She opens the door to find her parents standing on the threshold, flushed cheeks, tightly clasped hands. They step inside and settle awkwardly on her living room sofa, the upholstery threadbare from years of quiet evenings. The air crackles with unspoken tension. In the corner, the silk scarf still rests in its pristine gift bag, tucked neatly at the edge of the coffee table, an untouched emblem of Erin's go well. Its vibrant alpaca fibers seem almost out of place against the worn wood and oil-stained floor. Her mother's eyes flick to the scarf, then quickly away, as if embarrassed by its silent accusation. For a long moment, nobody speaks. The only sound is the hum of the heater and the distant creak of the floorboards underneath. Erin stands by the doorway, arms crossed, watching as her parents exchange anxious glances. Two people who once wielded the power to exclude her, now uncertain how to bridge the chasm they created. Erin steps forward, the soft carpet muffling her footsteps as she moves from the doorway toward the center of the living room. She folds her arms, her flannel shirt sleeves brushing against her forearms streaked with oil. The silence stretches taut as a drawn bow until her voice rings out calm, unwavering, and laced with iron resolve. "I'm done begging for love." She pauses, letting each word settle like stones in the room. "If you can't accept me with my grease-stained hands, my flannel shirts, and every ounce of pride I've earned, then this ends right now." Her parents' eyes widen, her mother's hand tightens around the armrest, her father's knuckles whiten as he grips the sofa cushion. Erin's tone softens only slightly as she continues, "I'm not the person you imagined. I'm the person I worked to become. You can choose to love all of me, or you can choose to walk out that door." The ultimatum hangs in the air like smoke. In that moment, the power dynamic shifts completely. Erin is no longer pleading for a seat, she is setting the terms. The viewers feel the electric charge of her authority. Her self-worth is non-negotiable, and she will no longer allow her value to be parceled out in crumbs of acceptance. For a suspended heartbeat, the living room remains frozen in mid-breath. Then, a soft, almost imperceptible click, the door latches shut. That single sound, though gentle, reverberates like a gavel sealing a verdict. It carries the weight of every unanswered question, every swallowed plea, and every moment Erin forced herself into silence. In the gloom of the closed room, the muted thrum of the heater is suddenly deafening, as if the walls themselves vibrate with the significance of that click. Behind the door, her parents startle their proud postures, wilting into uncertainty. The faint scrape of her mother's shoe as she shifts weight, the subtle hitch in her father's breath, all betray the shock of having lost their hold on this daughter's destiny. Erin remains still, shoulders squared, eyes fixed on the point where light no longer spills in. In that echoing silence, she feels the culmination of years spent seeking validation, from childhood report cards to her first apprenticeship, from the tedium of greasy work to the triumph of her investments. This click isn't just the end of an argument, it's the closing of a chapter marked by underestimation. As the door settles into silence, Erin inhales deeply. The air tastes of resolve. She knows that each choice she's made has led to this final act of self-affirmation. The click may have sealed the door, but it has also unshackled her spirit. In the stillness that follows, the audience senses the magnitude of her independence. The world outside may remain unchanged, but behind that door, Erin's life has been irrevocably redefined. In the hush that follows, Erin closes her eyes and breathes in the stillness as if inhaling the air of a new beginning. Her voice is barely above a whisper, yet it rings with unshakable conviction. I am enough. Each syllable echoes through the quiet garage, weaving through the space where doubt once lurked. She recalls every slight, her family's raised eyebrows at her mechanic's coveralls, the unspoken judgment at holiday tables, and lets them wash away with her declaration. In this moment, self-doubt loses its power. The years of striving for permission are over. The camera lingers on her face as tears well up, not from sorrow, but from release. A profound catharsis that resonates with anyone who's ever had to prove their worth. As the words settle in the air, the scene shifts from darkness to light. A shaft of morning sun filters through a high window, illuminating floating dust motes like specks of gold. It's as if the universe itself has opened a door in response to her affirmation. Viewers feel that same surge of empowerment, sharing in her triumph as the burden of rejection dissolves into the promise of self-acceptance. In these few lines, Erin transcends her past. She has claimed her value on her own terms, and the emotional release ripples outward, transforming not just her world, but inviting every viewer to stand taller and speak their own truth. Morning light filters through the dust-speckled windows of the community garage, illuminating rows of teenage girls gathered around workbenches. Erin stands at the head of the group, her flannel sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms scarred with grease and experience. In one hand, she holds a torque wrench, in the other, a laminated chart of compound interest growth. First, she says, demonstrating the proper angle to tighten a lug nut, you apply steady pressure, no sudden jerks. That's how you keep the wheels secure. Her voice is patient but firm. She moves fluidly from undercarriage to whiteboard, sketching out how small, consistent investments double over time. Now imagine your savings growing the same way. Start early, reinvest the gains, and watch your future compound. The girls mimic her motions, their faces alight with concentration and wonder. One asks, "What if I can't afford to invest much?" Erin chliles. You don't need mint-condition boots to start. Even a small deposit will grow. It's the habit that counts. A soft murmur of determination ripples through the group. In this garage-turned-classroom, Erin's transformation from sidelined mechanic to mentor shines. The rhythmic click of wrenches and the hush of numerical revelation merge into a single heartbeat of empowerment. Viewers sense the narrative surge. The wounded daughter has become an illuminating guide, handing others the tools to rebuild their own lives. That afternoon, Erin returns to her weathered pickup, the late sunlight streaking across its faded paint. She reaches for her cleaning rag, an old shop towel heavy with grease, and begins to wipe the windshield. The fabric snags on something, tucked under the wiper blade. Curious, she peels it free to reveal a small, crumpled scrap of paper, its edges frayed from wind and rain. She smooths it out in her calloused hands and sees a single sentence scrawled in unsteady ink. Worth doesn't need proving, it lives in the heart. Her breath catches as the words sink in. She traces each letter with her fingertip, feeling the pulse at her wrist quicken. In her world of tangible measurements, torque specs, diagnostic codes, brokerage statements, this message arrives like a secret blessing. Memories flash, the countless nights she poured her savings into indexed funds, the sting of family dinners missed, the defiance it took to build a life on her own terms. And here, in this unexpected gift, is validation, not from a familiar face, but from a stranger whose path she'd enriched. The note is a mirror held up to her soul, reflecting worth she sometimes feared she lacked. A single tear slips free as gratitude wells up, and she presses the paper to her heart. The engine's distant hum echoes her own heartbeat, steady, assured. Erin lifts her gaze to the horizon, where the sun dips low, painting the sky with promise. For the camera, the focus remains on that trembling note before panning up to her face, eyes moist yet resolute, a gentle smile releasing years of unspoken affirmation. Viewers feel a warm swell in their chests, a shared epiphany that true value isn't recorded in ledgers or earned through approval, but recognized in the quiet chambers of the heart. Late afternoon sun warms the backyard as Erin kneels in the soft earth, a young apple sapling cradled in her hands. The soil is cool and crumbly, clinging to her fingernails as she digs a hole deep enough for the roots to spread. Beads of sweat gather at her hairline, then drip onto the tender stem below, each drop watering both plant and purpose. She straightens the sapling, tucks its roots gently into the ground, and pats the earth around it until it sits firm. In that simple act, hands stained with dirt instead of grease, she enacts the metaphor of her own journey, planting seeds of resilience and self-worth that will grow into something strong and fruitful. The sapling's slender trunk reaches for the sky, promising blossoms and harvests to come, just as her life once overlooked will bear the fruits of her labor and integrity. Erin stands and brushes soil from her knees, gazing at the young trees silhouetted against the fading light. She knows that growth takes time, and that the values she's sown today will root deeply far beyond the ephemeral applause of any gathering. This garden, like her soul, will thrive on its own terms. As the sun dips low, painting the sky in shades of orange and rose, Erin and Jada settle onto the front porch steps with steaming mugs of coffee. The day's tension dissolves into easy laughter as they pass a box of donuts between them, sugar-dusted crumbs drifting down like confetti. Jada nudges Erin playfully. "Remember when we thought freedom meant running away?" she teases. Erin grins, swirling her coffee. "Turns out it's about coming home on your own terms." Their chuckles blend with the soft creak of the porch swing and the distant chirp of crickets. This moment, two friends sharing warmth and sweetness, is a balm after weeks of conflict and confrontation. There are no expectations here, only acceptance and the simple joy of companionship. The camera holds on their silhouettes against the fading light, capturing the quiet power of peace earned. Viewers feel a collective exhale, their hearts buoyed by the knowledge that after every storm, there can be calm, and that sometimes the greatest victories come in shared smiles and sugar-coated moments. Erin approaches the camera with purposeful steps, the dusky garage lights casting her in a warm, amber glow. She pauses just beyond the edge of a workbench, draped with tools, wrench handles, and oil cans, forming a quiet chorus of her labor. Stepping forward, she fixes her gaze on the lens, her eyes steady, unflinching. "Look," she begins, voice steady as engine hum. "All they ever saw were the smudges on my overalls, the oil stains on my hands." She lifts her sleeve, revealing fading grease marks threaded into lines of hard-earned experience. But they never saw the blueprint beneath that grime, the late nights spent drafting my financial future, the countless hours I spent learning, investing, building something real. She takes a breath, inviting the viewer into her world. Every bolt I tightened wasn't just for a truck, it was for my independence. Every drop of sweat on this floor, she gestures to the cement beneath her boots, was another brick in the foundation of my freedom. Her voice softens, yet carries an unwavering edge. They judged me by the surface. They never paused to ask what lay beneath. In this moment, the barrier between performer and audience dissolves. We feel her frustration, pride, and the quiet triumph of being seen finally for all she truly is. Erin holds our gaze a beat longer, then nods once, a shared secret passed between her and every person watching. Erin leans closer, her eyes narrowing with intensity as she addresses each viewer directly. The garage's dim light flickers, framing her face in a cinematic chiaroscuro. She raises a finger, solemn and unyielding. Who here has ever been labeled a failure, a disappointment, not enough? Today, I challenge you. Peel off those labels. Tear down the sticky notes of judgment you've worn, whether stuck there by others or by yourself. Claim your story. Share it. Let the world see the real you, beyond the oil stains, beyond the doubt. Her voice rings out like a clarion call. The air seems to pulse with possibility. Viewers feel the invitation as a personal dare, an electric spark, reminding them that sometimes the bravest act is to expose one's truth. Comments and shares feel inevitable. The screen becomes not just a window, but a mirror and a soapbox. The screen erupts into a dynamic montage, driven by a pulsing score that mirrors a revving engine. Shot 1. Erin stands before a semicircle of eager faces in the community garage, demonstrating how to read a multimeter. Sparks from a nearby welding station flicker in the background, underscoring her role as both mechanic and mentor. Shot 2. She pivots to a whiteboard filled with stock charts, candlesticks, climbing arrows pointing skyward. With a marker in hand, she traces dividend lines and compound interest curves, her eyes alight with the thrill of possibility. Shot 3. A close-up, her hands, once stained with engine oil, now tap on a sleek laptop, displaying her investment portfolio. Numbers glow green as stock values rise, each uptick punctuating her mastery. Shot 4. Under the budding apple tree she planted, Erin and Jada share a carefree laugh, petals drifting around them like confetti. Erin wipes a smudge of dirt from her cheek before taking a triumphant sip of coffee. Shot 5. Quick cuts of her delivering a keynote at a small town hall audience, nodding, pen scratching, followed by her high-fiving a teenage girl whose eyes shine with newfound confidence. The music crescendos, stitching these moments into a cohesive tapestry of triumph. Viewers feel their hearts accelerate. They witness the arc from rejection to empowerment, from isolation to community, all propelled by Erin's unshakable spirit. The montage abruptly cuts to pitch black, the roar of the music fading until there is only the hush of possibility. For a moment, the audience sits in darkness. No images, no distractions, just the weight of Erin's transformation hanging in the air. Then her voice pierces the silence, warm yet unyielding. The one they labeled a loser became the engine that drives strangers to believe they never have to stop. Each word resonates like the final note of an anthem, carrying both the sting of past rejection and the triumph of hard-won purpose. The paradox of the sentence lingers. The term, meant to diminish her life, has become the very power that ignites hope in others. As her voice trails off the screen, remains black for a heartbeat longer, allowing the message to sink in. Then, from the darkness, the subscribe button glows into view, its simple red rectangle pulsing like a heartbeat, inviting viewers to join the journey. Underneath, a crisp sound effect punctuates the call to action, as if stamping a seal on the shared resolve. Subscribe now and be part of this engine of change. In the silence that follows the echo of Erin's words reverberates. Strangers around the world watching from living rooms and bedrooms carry that spark forward. They are challenged to strip away the labels that bind them, to transform every setback into fuel for their own engines. The black screen holds them in that moment of promise, a space where beginnings and endings blur. And when the video finally resolves, viewers aren't just prompted to click, they feel compelled to act, to speak their own truth, and to share the story that refuses to quit. Erin's journey teaches us that true self-worth isn't granted by others. It's forged through steadfast pursuit of our goals and the courage to set boundaries. When the world tries to label you a loser or not enough, don't let those tags define your path. Instead, transform setbacks into fuel, plant seeds of resilience, and build your value with hard work and self-belief. If Aaron's story inspired you, hit subscribe now so you won't miss our next videos on self-empowerment, and share this lesson to help others unlock their true worth.